Hey y'all, IrixGuy here. Welcome aboard everyone, and I hope you can hear me okay. This is a live show, meaning that you can comment live, and I have the opportunity to interact with you live, face on camera. So today's focal point, and we can talk about other things too, but today's two top topics of interest are the DJI Phantom 4 and the DJI Inspire 2. Now, you can see on my desk, I've still got this unfortunate paperweight. This is the recalled GoPro Karma drone. I'm waiting on my box to send it back per the recall instructions, but I think this thing might as well dig its own grave if they do fix the issue and re-release it. I like the Karma grip, as I discussed previously. I like the Hero 5 cameras. But what about today? So today, not only did we get a new professional model Phantom 4, but we got a 4K 60, that's right, 60 frames per second camera. So, I can shout your name out. Hey Samuel, welcome to the live show, and thanks for your participation. This is great. Not a scheduled show, just something that here on IrixGuy's Adventure Channel, anytime I get the opportunity to do so, I will try to host a live show. And it's all about y'all, so any questions you have. When are you going to get your Mavic? Well, I've been anxiously awaiting the arrival of my Mavic for many weeks now, and I still haven't received it, but I hope to get the Mavic as soon as possible. Now, the Mavic obviously was not released today. It was released several weeks ago, but until today, and actually even after today, it's still the drone that I'm most excited about because of the small size, the 4K video. Yeah, it does not do, and we're going to talk about the Phantom 4 Pro and also the Inspire 2 in depth here in a moment. But hey man, no problem. Thanks for tuning in. Does this say 240p? Oh no. Hey, thanks for the catch, because I need to be streaming in 1080p. So let me check my stream. Just pardon. Let's see. Hey everybody, I'll be right back. I've got to fix a streaming issue because this should be in 1080p. It'll be just a second. I'll be right back. Okay, everybody. Now you should be able to receive this up to 1080p HD. Okay, back again. Yeah, thanks everyone. That was actually my fault in my live streaming encoder. I failed to upgrade from 240p to 1080p. So now, if you click that little gear towards the bottom right of the YouTube video, you should be able to go all the way up to 1080p, which is high definition. Not a 4K streaming option available yet, at least something that I have access to. So 1080p is going to be tops. But yeah, let's get going here, because we obviously have a ton of thank you. Thanks, Nathan. Thanks for the feedback. We've got a ton of stuff to talk about. I mean, GoPro Karma, unfortunately, is yesterday's news. I've still got it on my desk because I'm waiting to send it back when I get the recall box. But I think great question. Mark asked. He said, "Can you put a Phantom 4 Pro battery in a Phantom 4 for 30 minutes?" According to DJI. Yeah, it seems like they released this new. I think they're badging it maybe a high capacity battery. I think they did that just so they could, when they released the Phantom 4 Pro, they could confidently say it's an upgraded version of the Phantom 4. So let me pull up. I know there's people of all experience levels in this live show, and I'm going to pull open the spec sheet because obviously I don't have the Phantom 4 Pro in hand. It was just announced today. But I'm going to pull up the spec sheet, and we can kind of go through this together and talk about the Phantom 4 Pro. So the thing that I'm most excited about is a 1-inch 20 megapixel Exmor R CMOS sensor. Now, if you're not familiar with Exmor, That is a Sony imaging technology. Now, when you're dealing with a 1-inch sensor on the camera, that can produce some amazing results. So to be able to get a 1-inch sensor, not just 4K 30, but 4K 60 frames per second. Why in the world did GoPro not make these capable of 4K 60 rather? I have no idea. It would seem that the GoPro Hero 5 should be capable of 60 frames per second, given that the Phantom 4 Pro, in that same small form factor, is able to do 60 frames per second. The other thing that's notable for the Phantom 4 Pro is the 4 directions of obstacle avoidance. With the Phantom 4, we know that we had the obstacle avoidance sensors on the front. But now this has 4 directions of obstacle avoidance. 30 minutes flight time. As Mark had mentioned, the new battery. That's something that was unveiled with the release of Phantom 4 Pro today. Estimated 30 minutes of flight time. Increased resistance to interference and extended control range. More intelligent flight modes. Now I'm on the mobile site here. There's also an option. You can get the Phantom 4 Pro with an included screen. To me, that's just an additional cost that I probably don't want to incur. Looking at and not saying it's not a good screen, I don't want to spend the extra. The Phantom 4 Pro, looking at the pictures of it, it's looks very similar from a design perspective. If you're familiar with the Phantom 4, it's not going to look much different. The same with the controller. It looks, just looking at it online, it looks basically the same. But the range, I think they said the range may be, and obviously I fly a line of sight to be safe and responsible, but the range may be greater than the Phantom 4. So let's see. Let's detour from the Phantom 4 for a second. It says, Proud Oregon Cat Mom says, where's your favorite place to travel to? Well, obviously being Captain Irix guy, it's always throughout the Caribbean. Now, a lot of people may assume that the Caribbean is, every island's the same, and it's not. Each island that you go to in the Caribbean, there's going to be different culture, there's going to be different food, there's going to be different terrain, there's going to be different types of beaches. So it's really unfair to say what's my favorite place to travel to. Well, I can answer that. It's the Caribbean. But which islands in particular? I would say that St. Bart's is my number one, and the reason being is that it's very mountainous, and there's a cool airport there you can fly into, very short runway, very freaky, good video opportunity. It's a cool place. And then obviously Bermuda, which is not it's a seasonal place. You go to Bermuda certain times of the year to be cold, but Bermuda's really good. I love their Bermudian fish chowder there. Really cool people, different accents. You get a lot of British accents over there. And then ultimately the U.S. Virgin Islands, St. John, and then you got the British Virgin Islands, which Virgin Gorda is one of my favorites. It's right next to Richard Branson's island, the guy that owns Virgin, the entrepreneur, multi-billionaire. And it's only a few nautical miles from Necker Island. But yeah, those are some of my favorite spots. Samuel says, I have a P3 Phantom 3 Advanced. I want to upgrade to a more serious drone. Thinking about the Mavic or the Inspire 2, which one should I get? Well, I've not had my hands on the Mavic yet, but as soon as I get it, I'm going to perform exhaustive field test. I'm going to see how the camera performs, see how it compares to the Phantom 4. If you want to check out my Phantom 4 videos on my channel now, I feel that the video quality is great. Silky smooth, good color, minimal amount of work I have to do in post-production to make it look really good. And it's the Inspire. Here's the thing, and you may have seen some of my previous videos. The Inspire, as I've always said, and this is applicable to the Inspire 2 as well. I was actually deeply disappointed to see that the Inspire 2 is not a smaller drone, because that's been the drawback for me. I look at Inspire 2, it's too big, it's too heavy. I don't want to travel with all that. When you're dealing with a Phantom platform, it's right on the edge. It's not too big, it's not too heavy, it's not optimal. But I feel that the Mavic, from a travel size and weight perspective, if it performs from a video quality and video stability perspective, again, I've not received my Mavic yet to be field tested, But if I can achieve as good or better video quality and stability at 4K 30 as I can with my Phantom 4, the Mavic is personally going to be my number one drone, just because of the size advantage, the range. Obviously, I fly line of sight to be safe and responsible, but if I'm out in the boat over open ocean, there's nothing around, international waters, maybe I want to test the range. So having that extra range could be good. Personally, I would have no interest in the Inspire 2. I mean, the only way I could say that someone may want to check out an Inspire 2 is that, do you have a disposable income? If so, then you may want to check it out. Do you plan to travel with the drone? If so, do not consider the Inspire 2. Do you plan to shoot movies or film, whatever you want to call it, with the drone? Maybe you want to check out the Inspire 2. And maybe you want to add on that multiple $1,000 camera option to get the really, really awesome, Hollywood-style video quality. That's up to you. But my pick on today's market, based upon what I've used, do we lose? Okay, audio should be back. Let's see. On today's market, I would say my top two drones, Phantom 4 Pro and Phantom 4 and Phantom 3 Professional, because both of those I've had proven 4K 30, ultra reliable video quality and stability. So it's a good drone. But with that said, it's one of those things where it's up to you. As a drone pilot, what do you want to use? I mean, are you using it primarily for video? Do you care about 4K video? Or do you not care to future-proof your content and you just want to film in 1080p? Maybe you don't even want to film. Maybe you're filming as a novelty and your real enjoyment from the drone comes from flying the drone. So maybe the camera's not even an issue. So, those are questions you have to ask yourself. Check out my website. I've got a lot of drones listed and drone advice that I've listed there, 400orbelow.com. Got a lot of content all the way from Phantom 1 through present for me being Phantom 4. Again, I've not yet received my Mavic, and I'm on the fence about ordering the Phantom 4 Pro, because with the Mavic, that's what I was wanting. I was wanting a smaller, more lightweight drone that could still do 4K video. And I have a feeling the Mavic's probably going to deliver. Would I like to have 4K 60 frames per second? Yes, I would. But would I like that enough to have a second drone just so I can get 4K 60 that's a bigger drone? Probably not. My personal mission is to wait to test the Mavic, and then hope that if I like the Mavic, that DJI soon releases a camera upgrade for the Mavic, or a new Mavic for that matter, that'll do 4K 60. My Mavic just showed up at my door. Well, that's great, and I'm extremely jealous. So you'll have to tell us how it is. I've been just losing sleep at night thinking about the Mavic, and it still hasn't arrived. Salivate Metal says, okay, here's another question before we get to Salivate Metal. Stephen Wolf says, what drone can you recommend for my 10-year-old son? Well, I wouldn't recommend anything. I mean, when you're dealing with kids, that's something you need to investigate on your own. Drones can be very dangerous. And with that being said, they can be a lot of fun. But my personal recommendation would be, that these, including the Karma and the others, these are adult toys. And they're not toys. They're adult tools from a hobby perspective. These are things that a hobbyist can enjoy, that adult hobbyists can enjoy. So, if you want to get one and fly around and make your kid happy, that's cool as long as you're flying it. And in that scenario, what I would do is I would recommend, if you want to go on the lower end of the price spectrum, I would recommend a Phantom 3 Pro. Or if you don't really care about how much to spend, the Phantom 4 is great. Check out my 400orbelow.com website, and you can find a plethora of drone buyer suggestions. That's my website. You can find a lot of good stuff there. So let's see. GoPro Karma is officially dead. Henry, I will say my GoPro Karma is officially dead because the firmware update in response to the recall bricked the drone and the controller. So the only thing I currently have, because I haven't shipped back my recalled drone yet, is the functional GoPro Karma grip and Hero 5 Black, which I love both of these. But yeah, I don't. After today's announcement from DJI, my best advice for GoPro would be to ditch not the new cameras and the Karma grip because they're great, but release a new GoPro camera in the 5 line that'll do 4K 60 frames per second. Totally ditch the GoPro Karma. Re-engineer a new version of GoPro Karma that has the obstacle avoidance, the 4K 60 or better camera. Basically make a new drone. Accept the fact that, this recall happened. Now you're way behind DJI because DJI's got the Mavic, which the Mavic in itself has dethroned GoPro Karma drone. And then today's announcement from DJI Phantom 4 Pro, that's completely obsoleted the GoPro Hero 5 Black because the Phantom 4 Pro does 4K 60. Hero 5 Black tops out at 4K 30. And at 4K 30, you're going to get fisheye. And if you get fisheye, my assumption is that I have not tested the Phantom 4 Pro yet, but my assumption is that the camera will likely be a lot better than the Phantom 4, which I don't notice fisheye with the Phantom 4 or the Phantom 3 Pro in 4K 30 frames per second. Buying Inspire 2. Yeah, that drone is just, maybe there's some buyers for that, but it's too big and it's too heavy. And that was my only disappointment with DJI's announcement today, is that they released another Inspire, but it's not smaller. Why not figure out a way to make it smaller? And a minor gripe with the Phantom 4 Pro was the fact that they did not include a modular camera. What I would like to see in a Pro version of a future Phantom model is a modular camera option. That way maybe you're switching among 360-degree cameras, maybe an infrared camera. You could really expand your flexibility with cameras and still have a manageable travel size and weight drone platform. So how was your experience at St. Martin? St. Martin is in there's two sides of the island. There's a Dutch side and then there's a French side. And St. Martin is really cool. It's different than a lot of the islands down there. It's obviously French speaking on the French side, and I don't speak French, but I just walked around and ate a bunch of food and drank some beer and had a good time and drank some rum and kayaked and that sort of stuff. So it's St. Martin is definitely is a place that I would recommend. Definitely if you're an adventure traveler, you want to get out, explore, have a good time, experience a lot of culture that's different than the other Caribbean islands. I think it's a wonderful spot. Very good food. The French food there was absolutely outstanding. Some of the best meals I've ever eaten. GoPro is a joke kid drone. Well, I'm not going to go that far. I would just say GoPro is behind the ball. They released at the time when they probably started designing it, it was definitely an innovative product, having the collapsible arms and it is good build quality. If it was only this and a Phantom platform, yeah, GoPro could have the edge if they were able to increase the range and eliminate fisheye and add those safety features, obstacle avoidance that make the drone more attractive to the media in a positive way. So they had a good idea. They executed too late, and then they got recalled, and yeah, not a good thing. Can you take a picture while recording a video with the 4? I haven't tested that in a while. I actually, for me, I always film continuous 4K video, and the reason is that way I don't miss a key moment. And the good thing about 4K video, unless you're a professional photographer, 4K video, you've got a canvas of 3840 by 2160. So I can take a still image within my post-production, Final Cut Pro 10. I can take a still image of a frame within that video, export it. I've got a 3840 by 2160 size image, and then I can crop that as needed and I can still have very high quality. Not as high quality as a still photo, but for internet purposes, it looks really good. So that's the reason I haven't really messed with the still photos. But I did try it in the past, and I couldn't get it to work. I don't know if a new firmware update may have done that. Let's see. Oscar says, I've had Phantom 4 for a while, but now have the opportunity to go the Mavic for portability and overall comfort, or the Phantom 4 Pro for surround vision avoidance and new smart features as well. You know, it's a tough call. I mean, if portability is your main concern, and for me, I've got when I buy a drone, it's got to be 4K or better. That's a requirement. So the Mavic and the Phantom 4 Pro, both, and Phantom 4 and Phantom 3 Pro, they all meet those requirements. But the portability really adds a lot. Now, if you're not traveling with the drone, I would say definitely Phantom 4 Pro, just because you're getting that 4K 60 frames per second. But if you're traveling with it, I mean, really, unless you're retiming a video, speeding it up and or slowing it down within post-production, the extra frames per second is really not going to add that much value. I mean, 4K 30 is good. But, let's see. Mark says, I really like the integrated camera in the Phantom 4, much less to go wrong and lighter, simpler design. Yeah, it is a very simple design. And that's a good point. It's all integrated, and ultimately, looking at this GoPro Karma gimbal, one might assume that after repeatedly pulling this in and out of the grip and sticking it in the drone and back in the grip, that it may become damaged over time. Although this feels exceptionally well made, I will say that the GoPro gimbal is one of the best feeling gimbals that I've ever held in my hand. And as far as performance, and I'm going to post some more videos tonight, so stay tuned for them. I did a video where I was jogging with this Karma grip, and I mean, the stability is absolutely outstanding. What do you think of the integrated monitor on the Phantom 4 Pro? I think it's, and again, I haven't tested it yet, but my assumption is that it's a great marketing technique, because, when you're looking at and I don't even think they care about the Karma anymore because they know it's water under the bridge, but, the Karma came with a built-in screen, so ultimately, to be on the same playing field, should the Karma be re-released after the recall, they can say, oh, well, we've got a built-in screen option. I think it's more of a marketing thing. I don't know if it would necessarily be better to have that versus bringing your own screen. And then Mark says, I wonder if DJI heard that GoPro was entering the market and stepped up their game, hence Mavic Pro and Phantom 4 Pro as soon as after the Phantom 4. I think that's a very fair assumption, and what we've mentioned earlier about GoPro, or DJI rather, is that DJI's never, at least to my knowledge, visibly reacted to a competitor releasing a product. I mean, we've seen several brands, Parrot, Unique, Autel, several brands, and I've never seen DJI react, but they reacted to GoPro, and I think part of that reaction and that acknowledgement of possible competition is the fact that, GoPro is such a customer-centric company, and GoPro, their drone, despite being recalled, is not horrible, but it's not as good as that. But ultimately, because GoPro has a very loyal fan base because of their action cameras, including myself, I love GoPro, I love DJI, but it would be hard for one to argue that DJI provides better customer service. Now, when I buy a drone, or any piece of technology for that matter, I don't have when I'm dealing with cameras, it's different, but when I'm buying drones, I don't have a big expectation for support. My assumption is that when I buy it, I'm an early adopter. It may not work 100%. If I can't troubleshoot and resolve it myself, it's probably not going to get fixed. And I know that's a bad attitude for a consumer to have, but that's the attitude I have. And that's why DJI's, the consensus opinion of DJI's customer service doesn't bother me. But I think for them as a company, they realize, hey, we're going up against GoPro. Historically, very popular brand, the king of action cameras. Now we make our own cameras. We used to use their we used to allow the use of their cameras on our drones. We don't anymore. So now they're kind of DJI is getting a little bit cocky. They know they have the best drone. They definitely have the best aerial platform on the market. They have different levels of that product at different price points, and they have Exmor based sensors in their camera. I mean, what more could one want? And then you've got GoPro out there. Now GoPro, they're known for being a ruggedized camera. You take it in the water. Obviously the grip you couldn't, but the camera itself you can take in the water. You can beat it around a little bit, and it's probably not going to become too severely damaged. That's an edge that GoPro has. And GoPro is one of those things that, they've kind of developed over the years a cult following of sorts. Someone that, they want to have that GoPro in their hand when they go and perform whatever activity because they can capture it and they don't have to worry about the camera becoming damaged. That's a piece that DJI hasn't yet. That's an arena, rather, that DJI has not yet entered. They have not entered the ruggedized action camera game. The point in time when and if DJI releases a camera that is waterproof and ruggedized without a case that can also be attached to a drone, such as the Phantom 4 size platform, it's modular. When and if they do that, then they're really going to be even further ahead of GoPro, because they're going to be at a point in the game where people will say, well, why would I even go with GoPro? Because I can get the best aerial platform experience. I can also get a ruggedized and waterproof camera. If they really wanted to put a nail in GoPro's coffin, what they would do is they would engineer something, not the Osmo, but they would make a new gimbal that's completely waterproof, a new camera that's completely waterproof, a camera and a gimbal assembly that people can use, not necessarily underwater, but they could splash and submerge into water and it wouldn't damage it because it's waterproof. And that same camera could be shared with a DJI Phantom 4 sized aerial platform. When and if they do that, Nick Woodman might as well sell his boat, his yacht rather, because I think that's really going to put a hurting on GoPro. But yeah, GoPro reacted in a major way. I mean, they released, to your point, they released all of these they released a new Mavic for the small size, small travel weight, and then they released the Phantom 4 Pro to basically say, hey, your camera is obsolete now. We've got a 1-inch sensor and we do 4K 60 on ours, and we don't have fisheye. So, let's see, have a teal on pre-order. A teal. Now, Warren, keep in mind, I have not ordered a Phantom 4 Pro. Does it come in a teal option? Does it come in different colors? DJI, anything about their monitor having GPS, Wi-Fi to allow map view? Haven't dug that deeply yet. Samuel says, how do you feel about using Final Cut Pro 10 for real estate videos and short films? Should I go with Adobe? Lastly, which do you use if you use that software? Now keep in mind, I like to have fun with drones. But with that being said, all my videos that I create, and these aren't just the drone videos, but also my Sony Alpha videos, GoPro videos, I edit them all in Final Cut Pro 10. Shoot me a message. The best way to get me is my Facebook fan page, facebook.com/IrixGuy, and I'll be happy to respond with a link to my 4K video editing workflows. So that's the equipment I use, the software I use. When I finish editing the product, how do I export it to make it a format that I feel is optimal, both from a file size perspective and then also a video quality perspective after it's uploaded to YouTube. Because ultimately, almost every video that I film, I upload to YouTube. So I'll be happy to share that. Let's see here. Teal drones. Oh, it's a different, let's see. Oh, I've never I've never seen that. I just looked it up. Huh, 4K video. Interesting. That's funny. Another drone on the market. Cool, thanks for sharing that. Yep, I just looked it up. It kind of looks like a Lily drone. Speaking of Lily drone, I wonder if that'll ever make it to market. I know it's probably, well, not probably, it already is obsolete by now, in my opinion. So yeah, got a lot of questions here. I mean, what do y'all, I've shared my opinions about the Phantom 4 Pro and the Inspire 2, but what do you think happened to the Lily drone? You know, I don't know. I mean, it's like anything else that's a lot of, and I'm a big advocate of crowdfunding because I think it's a great way for, not just limited to drones, but I feel it's a great way for entrepreneurs to really get their ideas on to the market and really get some exposure. So I like the crowdfunding concept. But with the Lily, I think, you know, it could have been a combination of things. It could have been an overly ambitious marketing team that thought, well, hey, what if we release the first waterproof drone? What if we make it to where it folds, you know, it's very small, easy to transport, whatever, throw it in the water, it takes off by itself, whatever. So my assumption is that the Lily was just, you know, maybe an overly ambitious marketing team, and maybe the engineers couldn't meet or exceed the demands, and, you know, we're seeing the result. It's not on the market yet. Richard says, hey, Irix, just joined. How are you feeling about the Phantom 4 Pro? Well, you know, as I mentioned a moment ago, I really, I like it. I'm very excited. Again, obstacle avoidance, I admire the fact that they've beefed up the obstacle avoidance because I think that it sets a positive tone in the eyes of the media and the regulatory divisions throughout the world, because it creates what's possibly a safer drone. Ultimately, I never trust obstacle avoidance. I assume it does not exist to be safe. And to be frank, I don't even really care if it's on my drone because I'm always flying in a wide open, empty space that's safe. Should the drone fall to the earth or should it crash into something, it's not going to harm anyone. So I think the biggest draw for me with the Phantom 4 Pro is the 4K 60 frames per second camera. It's the first camera that I'm aware of in that size that'll do 4K 60 frames per second. So that's huge. And it's got a 1-inch sensor. That's even more huge. So from a video quality perspective, I expect the Phantom 4 Pro to be king. With that said, I'm more excited about the Mavic because I've always, in my mind, I've wanted a smaller, more lightweight drone that could still perform as good, if not better, than the DJI Phantom. So ultimately, the Mavic will be, from a video quality perspective, it'll be a step behind the Phantom 4 Pro. You're not going to have that 1-inch sensor, and you're not going to have 4K 60 frames per second. But what you will have with the Mavic is 4K 30, and that's, you know, at this point in time, 4K 30 is enough for me. The dynamic range of the 1-inch sensor and f2.8 ought to be wonderful. Yeah, I strongly agree. It's like anything else. If you're involved with video, and obviously I personally film a lot of YouTube videos. I've got some equipment that's kind of cheap. I've got some that's very high end. And inevitably, when I film a video with my Sony Alpha, you know, it's 4K 30 frames per second, but that with a Carl Zeiss lens, I mean, it just looks awesome. And then you go to an action camera like a GoPro or a Phantom 4. It's good, but it's just not in the same ballpark. So I think that the Phantom 4 Pro camera will bridge the gap between mainstream 4K camera and semi-high-end 4K camera. I mean, obviously, it's not going to produce the same results as a $6,000 Sony Alpha rig with a nice lens, but it's probably going to produce some good quality. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, has anyone here encountered a negative experience with the Mavic? Is there anything about the Have you had your hands on a Mavic yet? And is there anything negative that you experienced? I mean, is maybe something with the build quality, maybe something with the controller, the software interface, the camera quality? Is there anything you've encountered that was less than positive? Yep, RC Tanks nailed it. They said 4K 60 frames per second means slow motion. That's right. You know, when you're filming in 4K 30, if you want to slow stuff down, it's not going to look that crisp. You really need 60 or better. Yeah, good point. I've seen that the ground clearance on the Mavic is very small. That's one of the recurring themes I've seen in some of the videos that I've watched is that, you know, when you're landing it, and I know when I get my Mavic, the first thing I'm going to do is have a case, not a big case because that would negate the small travel size and weight of the Mavic, but a case or a landing pad so that when I'm out on the grass or, you know, or dirt or whatever, that it can land on something that's going to prevent that Mavic from making contact with the ground because I don't want to damage the drone. But, you know, with that lower ground clearance comes a trade-off of, you know, enhanced portability. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see some aftermarket manufacturers create some sort of landing gear for the Mavic to make that a non-issue. Mark says, ironic that one of the least expensive ways to get a 1-inch camera sensor is to buy a Phantom 4 Pro drone. Most consumer DSLRs have 3/4 inch sensors. That's very true. And then you step up into the Sonys that'll do 60. You know, like the let's see, the FS series. I mean, those are getting up there $5, $6, $7, $8, $9, $10,000. Yeah, this Karma is a brick, and it's still sitting on my desk. For a few reasons. Number one, I want to remind myself, you know, how disappointed I was with the drone. I love the Karma grip, but how disappointed I am with the drone, and the fact that it's bricked due to firmware update. And Sean Coonery likes it. He likes to play with it and look at it and scratch his head and say, "Man, that was a complete flop." So, yeah. But as soon as I get I'm waiting on my recall kit because you got to recall it, and then they send you even though I kept the box that it came in, they ship you a recall kit, and you ship it back in that. So hopefully I'll have this off of my desk in a matter of days. I will definitely miss the Karma grip, and I hope they ship this by itself soon. But no, the Karma drone, nah. Phantom 4 Pro is going to be the cat's meow. Speaking of cat's meow, let's see. Hey, Sean Coonery, you have been requested. He was down there on my feet. He was sitting on my feet. He said he would join the live show and make the table shake. Well, Samuel, there is Sean Coonery right there on the desk. This is a big card table, by the way, just to put this into perspective. And so you can see how big the Karma is compared to Sean Coonery. Sean Coonery's a big Maine Coon cat. So, I mean, the size of that is a little too much, even folded up, in my opinion. Yep, so that's Sean Coonery. It's a weird thing. It says, it's a weird thing. I tap focus on the left side, and it goes super sharp, but center focus, and it goes ever so slightly out to the left. Yep, so there is, see, Sean Coonery likes to look at the Karma as like, man, that's a failure. Now, he likes this. Hey, Sean Coonery, that's the Karma grip. That is not junk. No, he said he likes it, so he's rubbing his head on it. He said, I like the Hero 5 Black and the Karma grip, but he said, I wish it had 4K 60 because the Phantom 4 Pro has that. And this doesn't. So, yeah, it's what breed of cat? Sean Connery is a Maine Coon cat. M-A-I-N-E, Coon. And they say there's several rumors about how the Maine Coon cat breed came into existence. By the way, it's the second largest cat breed in the world, domesticated cat breed. The only larger cat breed is it's called a Savannah cat, and those are a close relative to the African serval. Sean Connery, he's very closely related to the Canadian lynx, which is it's like a bobcat, except a lynx has a bigger tail. A lynx also has ears. If Sean Connery turns around, you'll see that he's got tips of fur on his ears. They're called lynx tips. And then also on his feet, he's got pieces of fur sticking out. And all of those components, they make these cats optimal. They make this cat. They optimize the cat for living in cold weather environments because his big tail. See, when he sits down, he can wrap up in his tail. It keeps him warm. The fur on the tips of his ears and in his ears, his lynx tips, that keeps the snow out. And then the tufts of fur on the feet, that increases the surface area. So if he's walking in snow, he will have more surface area. It's kind of like snowshoes. So they're really cool. They're really cool cats. So yeah, if you have any questions about Maine Coon cats, actually check out his website. You can see his personal resume there, SeanConnery.com. He's got his personal resume. He graduated from Purdue University. So, yeah. Yeah, he may try to bury it, and I'm surprised he hadn't tried to poop on it yet. But did you see on St. Martin the famous Princess Juliana Airport, beach nearby? Actually, I didn't just see it. I went to Princess Juliana, and let me share a video link with everyone. For everyone that's not familiar, Princess Juliana Airport, it's one of the scariest airport landings in the world because it's a very short runway. On one side, there's a beach. It's called Maho Beach. On the other side, there's a mountain range. So if you're taking off in a big jet, it's basically just they gun it, and then they quickly turn. You got to have a special pilot's license to fly in and out of in or out of St. Martin, rather, Princess Juliana Airport. But here's a video of Princess Juliana Airport. Let me load it up here. Let's see. But the thing to do down there is get right in front of the runway, which is very dangerous. But yeah, so here's a video that I filmed. This was right in front of on the beach, Maho Beach, in front of Princess Juliana Airport. Yeah, actually the KLM, that's the thing I regret most. I didn't get to see it land because KLM just announced that they discontinued service out of Princess Juliana, the big one. I bet that is a rush. That thing's huge. Let's see. We appreciate these live shows. Just wish you'd promote them so we won't miss them. That's something I want to do, is be able to schedule these events because I know it's better for everybody. And here's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to do a scheduled series of shows, but also continue to do the unannounced shows. Because of the live show like this, sometimes if I got time and I got something that y'all want to talk about, something I want to talk about, whatever, I can just jump on and do it. I've got my camera set up in my studio so I don't have to go through all the hoopla every time. I've got a dedicated camera that I film this with. And where'd my Instagram go? Oh, my Instagram, it shouldn't have gone anywhere. Oh, it's still up. I just loaded Instagram. Instagram.com/IrixGuy. It should be up if you load it. Yeah, it's funny that Randy's saying I heard they restricted a lot of planes from landing there now. I don't know. I mean, it's just if anybody's been there, I mean, it's just a circus on the beach because you literally got these planes taking off and landing right over your head. Now, what was really cool was St. Bart's, the airport on St. Bart's. Now, obviously, jets don't land there to my knowledge, but these little propeller planes do. And here's a landing of. Here's a video that I filmed. I was standing beside the runway in St. Bart's, and a plane just landed on the short runway. That'll give you an idea of how short that runway is. A lot shorter than Princess Juliana, rather. I'm surprised that DJI didn't announce the goggles with all their new products. You know, I'm not really surprised because in my mind, I think the goggles, we're dealing with all of the enhanced drone regulation throughout the world, and I think a lot of that may be. Thanks for the follow, Jacob. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and Instagram, YouTube, everywhere too if you want to. You can find all my social media links on IrixGuy.com. But yeah, the fact that they didn't necessarily say any more about the goggles doesn't surprise me because with those, it's what am I trying to say? It's one of those areas that governments throughout the world tend to frown upon, FPV goggles, because they want you to maintain visual line of sight. And if you've got FPV goggles on, unless you're somehow able to see out of another eye, in my opinion, it's likely illegal in a lot of countries. So I think that's probably the reason for the issue with using FPV goggles. Now, what if it was indoors in a big arena or something? I mean, would that still be prohibited because it's indoors and people are using goggles? I don't know. Or if it's a drone race indoor. I mean, great question. Do you have any interest in building small racing drones and FPV racing? I haven't yet, and the only reason is that, I mean, ultimately what attracts me to any sort of hobby is being able to, how should I say this? Hobbies I enjoy, but hobbies I can mix with travel. And for me to mix FPV drone flying with travel, it'd be hard to do. Now, I'd love to have another hobby. My thing is my time with all the businesses that I run. My time is kind of, and I know everybody can make time, but my time is kind of limited. So, with that being the case, I doubt that I will personally pursue the FPV racing hobby. If I was young again, if I didn't have so many career obligations, I think I would definitely do it because it looks like a really cool hobby. Being that you're a watch guy, do you feel like 42 millimeter Apple Watch is big enough? Well, actually, I've got a 42 millimeter Apple Watch, and I'll pull it up here. So this is the 42 millimeter Apple Watch. I'll put it on my wrist so you can see. I personally don't wear anything under 40 millimeter, and that's just because I am a bigger dude, and if I wear anything under 40 millimeter, it looks like a woman's watch. So 42 in the Apple Watch is plenty big for me. I don't know how well you can see this, but on the wrist I got the 42 millimeter, just the aluminum Apple Watch on the rubber strap, which is great. I love working out with this thing. And then right beside I got a 44 millimeter Panerai Luminor. So really big Italian frogman dive watch. But I mean, it looks small compared to that. But if you compared it to some other watches, like compare it to a Submariner or Seamaster or something like that, it's not going to look small. I mean, it's plenty big, in my opinion, on most people's wrist. I wouldn't want it any larger, especially for the intended purpose. My intended purpose with Apple Watch is to track workouts and also have GPS functionality. But what do you know about the Phantom 4 Pro and if Mavic will be upgraded as well? Well, I think DJI with the Mavic, they intentionally called it Mavic Pro to imply that it is the top line. I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see like a Mavic that was kind of a thinking back to DJI Phantom 3 when you had the standard and the advanced, or the standard and the 4K, and then you had the top tier, which was Pro and advanced. I wouldn't be surprised if with Mavic they didn't do something like that. But in the future, will we see a Mavic with a camera as good as the Phantom 4 Pro that'll do 4K 60? I would hope so. But I don't know how soon that'll be, just based upon the fact that with Mavic, the first one they released, they referred to it as Mavic Pro. And that would seem to imply that if there is another Mavic model that becomes available, it's probably going to be less capable. Oh no, this is drone, this is everything. Your Apple Watch question was completely justified. And it's a cool watch. Check out my videos. I took this thing swimming in salt water, and it didn't leak, didn't have any issues, and I still haven't scratched the face of it. Obviously, this one, being the entry-level Apple Watch Series 2, it does not have the sapphire crystal glass, but I haven't had any problems with it. But I'm careful with all my watches. I don't bang them around. I know that you are a DJI fan. Any idea whatever became of Colin Guinness? Okay, I think I know who Colin Guinness is. I think he's the guy that did the 3DR solo. Is that correct? The 3DR dude? Is that... Or am I thinking of somebody... Colin Gwynn. Am I thinking of somebody else? Was he the 3DR guy or somebody else? Oh, well... My assumption is that... I mean, I don't know the dude, and... I can only speculate, but my assumption would be that he's probably feeling like a failure right now. And I mean that in as positive a way possible as I can, because ultimately he, not necessarily he, but his product, his 3DR Solo, that, I mean, God, when they released it, they had a great commercial with the monkeys with the controller. It had... it had the cable cam, or whatever they referred to it as. It was one of the first in breed, but when it released, it was just a mega disappointment, and they didn't have the gimbal ready when it was released. It came out... When did it come out? Did it come out when the Phantom 3 came out? I think that's when it came out. But it was just outshined. It never had a shot. And then it was using a GoPro, but it wasn't a GoPro drone. And they... a lot of people assume that, oh, this is the GoPro drone, because it uses a GoPro, and that wasn't the case. I mean, obviously, we know that this is the GoPro drone because GoPro released it, but it was just a failed, in my opinion, a failed marketing attempt, and they didn't... Had they had everything ready to go and ship, the gimbal and the drone and everything at the time it was released, maybe it wouldn't have been so outshined by the competition, but it was bad timing, it was poor execution, and I know if I was someone associated with that, I'd probably have a hard time waking up every day and feeling good. I would feel like a failure, and that's not a good thing. That's not a good way to feel. So, again, I don't know the guy, but that's just my assumption. Do you ever feel the need to fly further than line of sight? Actually, I do, but only when I'm out over open ocean where there's nothing around, and there's no risk involved for anyone or anything. So that's where the where the longer range would be advantageous, would be in that scenario. But other than that, I mean, I'm flying low altitude, I'm flying line of sight, and because I'm wanting to be close to the ground and close to me, so I can capture all that detail. When it's up high, you're not getting the detail anyway. Or when it's out far away, yeah, you may be getting the detail when it's far away, but you can't do that in most parts of the world. I mean, you got to maintain line of sight. Do you ever feel the need to fly... Oh, wait. Field of view is down from 94 to 84 degree on the Phantom Pro. Do you think that will keep the props out of the frame? Well, it's interesting that they would decrease the field of view, so that would seem to suggest that maybe the Phantom 4 props would better be able to stay out of the frame. One interesting discovery with the Phantom 4, not the Phantom 4 Pro, but the Phantom 4 at least, was that, and I don't know if y'all have encountered the same experience, but the Phantom 4, I was unable to get the landing gear in the camera's field of view. With the Phantom 3 Pro, I was able to do that. And the other previous model Phantoms, I was able to get the landing gear in the camera's field of view at time. at times rather. But I've always been able to get the props. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's a minor nuisance that that DJI has been able to address by way of performing your observation, saying that they took the field of view down from 94 to 84 degrees. So that'll be an interesting field test. I don't know. It's funny with these drones. I mean, you see it's like people are so hungry to displace DJI, but they just don't know how to do it. And I like competition, and as we've discussed previously, I think competition would be great, because if we get more competitors, we should see lower prices. We should see better products, better customer service. But it's just going to be a tough nut to crack, and it's going to have to be someone like an Apple or a Google or a Microsoft. And I cringe when I think about Microsoft and drones. I kind of cringe. But the fact is, a company that's well established, has a lot of disposable R&D money, research and development money. Someone that may be able to take a somewhat decent technology, sink a few $100 or few $1 million into it, and really create something great that's an actual competitor of DJI. That's what it's going to take. Do you still fly? Let's see. Have you found the large file size for 4K video is a big hindrance for uploading your content? Actually, I have, but I've got a solution for that. And if anyone wants to see my 4K video workflow, shoot me a message. The best way to get me is it's right here on my Facebook fan page. And I've got a 4K workflow. So basically what I do, I edit my video, then I export it, but I export it using these settings that I've found to be optimized for YouTube. So the file size is smaller, but even with the smaller file size, I still have good 4K video quality that when it's uploaded to YouTube, number one, it's not an enormous file. Number two, it processes somewhat quickly, even for a longer video. My Karma field test video is about 30 minutes. That didn't take too many hours for GoPro to process it after the upload. So by doing that, it's not that cumbersome. I mean, the big advantage to 4K that there's a lot of people that say, I'm going to get to the Yeti question here. A lot of people say that 4K is not worth it. Well, we're seeing now the 4K TVs now are just becoming less and less expensive. It's quickly going to replace 1080p. So by filming in 4K now, people are better able to have content that's better future-proofed. I mean, ultimately, every video format's going to become obsolete at some point. But by filming in 4K now and dealing with the larger files and dealing with the slower upload times and dealing with the slower YouTube processing times on YouTube servers, it's still advantageous, in my opinion, to do it because you're creating content that will hopefully remain relevant for a longer period of time. What made you choose the Blue Yeti over the Rode NT USB? Actually, I've never used the Rode NT USB. Now, I love Rode microphones. Rode microphones are some of the best microphones that I've used for cameras. And actually, I'm looking at one over there. And let me get this. This is a funny looking thing. Oh yeah, speaking of hard drives. So this right here is the Rode NTG2, and it's a shotgun mic, and I've got a little fuzzy windscreen on it. But this thing is a beast. Only reason I use the Blue Yeti is that with USB, I found the audio quality for podcasting purposes to be exceptional, and it's. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't be opposed to trying the Rode NT USB. I've never tried it, and the only reason is this one's worked well. Again, I love Rode products. I've got the NTG2 right here that I use for my cameras, but it's interesting. I'll have to check that one out. And speaking of that, have you tried I think it's called the Rode Video Micro, the little tiny one that doesn't even take a battery. It gets its power from the camera's microphone jack. Be interesting to see how that would stack up. I know it wouldn't be as good as a NTG2 or something along those lines, but it'd be interesting to see. You must have a stash of hard drives. Actually, ton of hard drives. And I'd have to look right now. I think I've got about 60 terabytes total. I'm using multiple external hard drive arrays, and it's working well. I mean, obviously it's a lot of storage, but you know, when you're storing this much 4K video content, something that I've found to be advantageous is to discard some of the scrap content. So some of the filler content, you know, you may go out and film some stuff and it's just mediocre content that probably wouldn't want to keep around. Some of that stuff I discard, but I keep all the quality stuff. And by keeping all the quality stuff, I've got tons of terabytes. Here's a link right here. Let me see if this will load up. My web server is getting hammered right now, which is good. So that's my storage. That's the storage solution that I use. It says, wondering why DJI chose to use IR on the same side of the Phantom 4 Pro instead of just using the same optical sensors. I don't know. There's probably a reason for that. And I don't know. That's worth investigating. I have no idea. Maybe there's some sort of, I don't know. Maybe it's a size weight thing. Maybe it's if you've got the optical avoidance sensors on all sides, if you introduced another one, maybe it could create interference. I don't know. Great question. I did try that and it wasn't bad at all. Cool. I'm going to check out the Rode Video Micro. Yeah, the thing is with larger hard drives, I mean, obviously you get all this data, then, you know, you're not just looking at an array of hard drives. Then you've got to have a backup, unless you're using RAID, which I don't use RAID. I use, it's called concatenated disk set. So basically I take multiple physical hard drives and combine them within Mac OS X's disk utility into what Mac OS sees as a single large physical disk, but in reality it's multiple smaller physical disk that the computer sees as one disk. So I've done that, and then I've mirrored that within a second enclosure, so I've got the same amount of storage. So should one of the hard drives fail in one of my hard drive arrays, I've got a mirror image array. So I could replace the failed hard drive and then copy all of that data from my backup array over to the other one. So I've got redundancy. Redundancy is king when you're when you're storing data. Do you love the Pro and the Inspire 2 because I want it so bad? I'm excited about the Mavic. I love the fact that Phantom 4 Pro has 4K 60. That's a first for drones. And I love that, but again, I'm about the travel size and the travel weight and still getting 4K video. And for me, the Mavic, you know, as soon as it arrives, it'll be the make or break moment for me. But I am just, you know, I'm literally losing sleep at night thinking about the Mavic. So that's what I'm excited about. Can you react to the latest video, please? It's old. Can you react to my latest video, please? It's old, but is decent in my opinion. I'll check it out. Voltage. Let me sub your channel. Let's see. Yeah, I will check it out. I'm actually already subscribed to your channel, so I'll take a look at it. And let's see. I was saying about getting the 60 terabyte and partitioning it. Why is the Inspire way better? Actually, in my opinion, it's not. I think the Inspire is too big. It's too heavy. Now, if you're someone that's got an extreme amount of cash, you know, maybe someone that's in the film industry and you want to attach some really wicked good cameras to it and put, you know, in excess of $10,000 into a flying drone, then it could be a good option. But if you just want good 4K video, heck, a Phantom 3 Pro, a Phantom 4, or now the Phantom 4 Pro, it's probably good enough for most people. I mean, that's just how I feel about it. I mean, I don't know. Let's see. So, what else do we have here? Yeah, good evening. UK, very nice. Cool place. I'd love to go there someday. Are they still drone friendly over there in the United Kingdom? Samuel, I don't use any add-ons for Final Cut Pro, but that's something I need to I need to investigate. Some people with a lot less subs than you have gotten the Phantom 4 Pro early. Why haven't you? Well, I stick to the production product. I don't like to deal with pre-release items. I personally don't believe that pre-release items provide an accurate representation of how the retail product may or may not, or may perform rather. So I mean, it's pointless for me to spend time field testing a product that may or may not be the product that hits the store shelves. So that's just me. Yeah, DJI is definitely winning. Yeah, it's I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, call me a DJI fanboy, call other people a DJI fanboy, fangirl, whatever. I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, DJI is winning, and they're winning hard. I mean, they really are. They're best in class. So, yeah, this thing is a great paperweight. And actually, what's funny, I pick it up now, and I'm like, I can't wait. I mean, ultimately, hopefully I'll get my Mavic within the next few days. But if I don't, this thing will be back because it'll be sent back to GoPro in a recall box. But I'd love to put one in one hand and one in the other and just see how it feels. Poor Karma sitting on the table. Will you get a new MacBook? Right now I'm running the base model MacBook Pro 13-inch with Retina. More than enough for me. It's got USB 3. It's got Thunderbolt. It's got SD card slot. It's light enough to travel with other gear. So, I'm not in a rush to upgrade. I mean, I like the new USB-C on the new MacBook Pros because you can charge, using solar panels, USB battery banks, etc. But the disadvantage to the MacBook Pro at this point in time is the prevalence of USB-C devices. So ultimately, if I did go with a new MacBook Pro, then you're tasked with having dongles everywhere to use your legacy devices, your USB 3 devices, and it just kind of gets to be a mess. And then you've got, you don't have your SD card slot. Well, if you like to pop your SD card out of your camera and put it in your MacBook Pro, the MacBook Pro 13-inch does fine. I edit 4K video on it. Obviously, I can't watch it in 4K after I export it, but when I'm in the field, it's not as fast as my desktop in my studio, but it gets the job done. For field edits, it's plenty capable, in my opinion. This MacBook Pro right here in front of me that I use for 4K, it has, let's see, this one is a 2.7 gigahertz i5, and it's got 8 gigs of memory. So it works. This one works for me. Phantom 4 Pro batteries are compatible with Phantom 4, so you gain a few extra minutes. It's kind of cool, GoPro or DJI rather did that because, you can, if you're still using Phantom 4, you can buy the newer batteries and possibly get a little extra flight time out of it. That's kind of cool. So, yeah, voltage, I don't know if I'm going to get the Phantom 4 Pro, and the only reason is that, I really would like to have the 4K 60, but at this point in time, travel size and travel weight is the boss for me, and I think I can, if the DJI Mavic that I've got coming, if it doesn't disappoint, I think that'll fit the bill very nicely. So maybe in the future, it's just, once you go with something smaller and more portable and just as capable, it's hard to go back to that big thing. Think about a cell phone. We've got these phones now. This is a big cell phone. This is a 6S Plus iPhone, but we used to have to carry around a bag with a phone in it. Would you want to go back to a cell phone in a bag? That could actually be pretty cool. Can you imagine going out and taking you a bag and having your phone in there? Kind of retro and stuff. That'd be kind of cool, but yeah, it's just not realistic for me to take a step backwards from a size and weight perspective, unless that drone is going to offer some functionality that I can't get with a smaller and more lightweight drone. And the Phantom 4, yeah, it's given 60 frames per second in 4K, but it still doesn't have a modular camera. I don't know why they didn't add a modular camera to it. That was a surprise to me. I wonder if some of the added features in the Go app for the GoPro can be added to the Phantom 4. I'd say it's just an update and not hardware. Well, I will say, before the controller was bricked for the Karma, I found the controller to be very well made. I found the software interface to be the best that I've seen for a drone. But you know what? You can have the fanciest interior in a car and just have a really crappy car, and it's still not as good as a really nice car with a basic interior. So I think, ultimately it's about the performance of the craft, and this is just for what they were trying to accomplish. It's not cutting the mustard. I mean, to make this right, they would need to add, they would need to increase the battery life. They would need to offer, at least it has a modular camera, but they need to offer a modular camera that can do 4K without fisheye. Ultimately, they'd want to shrink the size of this a little bit, because for what they're trying to accomplish, it's a little bit on the big side. So, yeah, I mean, do you like the controller for the Phantom 4 Pro? I haven't touched the Phantom 4 Pro controller, but to look at it on paper, it looks, it looks very similar to the Phantom 4 controller, which I liked it. I didn't have any complaints. I felt the Phantom 4 controller, even though it cosmetically looked very similar to the Phantom 3 Pro controller, I felt that it was better made. That was my assumption after using both Phantom 3 Pro and Phantom 4 extensively. Is there any way to downgrade? You're talking about GoPro Karma after it's being bricked? Not to my knowledge, because you turn it on, it goes straight to that message saying it's been recalled, blah, blah, blah. And, there's a link you can click on there. It'll take you to GoPro's website, but I couldn't find a way after clicking that link to back out and get to any of the software interface where I could change the firmware. And it's actually a good thing they did that, because that would keep less than responsible people from potentially wanting to fly a recalled drone that may be unsafe. Had a really hard time deciding on what to get in the new MacBook. Should I max it out, or do you have any opinion on what to get? Well, here's what I did with this MacBook. So, for example, I'm running the previous generation MacBook Pro 13-inch with Retina. I got the Retina display because that looks nice. I got the smallest flash-based storage that I could. So, I think they offer a larger size now, but this one only has 128 gigs of flash. And I didn't bother with memory upgrade. I just got 8 gigs. What I do is I store, I've got a very small hard drive that's bus powered, meaning I don't have to take a power adapter with it. And I travel with that. And that's what I store and edit all my videos on. And that hard drive that I use, I'm going to get a link for it right here so you can see. That hard drive is this right here. So in my opinion, you get the best of both worlds. So when I travel and I need extra storage, I've got my hard drive with me. But when I'm just sitting around the studio and I don't want to be on my desktop, I've got something with a nice display that's fast because it's flash-based, and I didn't spend a boatload on it because I didn't max it out with the memory and that sort of thing. If I only had one Mac, I would get a beefier MacBook Pro, because that would also be my primary editing computer. But my primary editing computer is an iMac with Retina, and it's fully loaded with memory, and obviously I got the smallest flash storage option to run the operating system, and I store all my videos externally on the hard drive arrays that we discussed earlier. I have a friend who built a $12,000 DSLR drone rig. He showed me the aftermath of his first flight. I felt sorry for him. Yeah, that's, but, the way you got to look, the way that people should look at it is that, anything that you put, anytime you take off, you take your drone off of the ground, expect to lose it. So, if it's something that you wouldn't be comfortable with just burning or throwing away, I would never put it into a drone. That's a lot of money. I feel bad for the dude too, and I don't even know him. Also noticed, let's see. Yeah, there's a Phantom 4 Pro version with screen and without. I'd probably go, if I do end up getting one, I'll probably go the one with without the screen just to save cost. Are there any new drones coming out in 2017 besides DJI we should look forward to? Not that I'm aware of right now. I wish there were. I'm hoping, I remain optimistic that GoPro will say, you know what? We've recalled our drone. We're not getting the safe version of Karma to market before the holidays. We're going to scrap the original GoPro Karma. We're going to keep the Karma grip, which works really well. We're going to offer that. You can buy it without having to get the drone bundle. But we're going to create a new drone that has the features that we mentioned earlier. Obstacle avoidance, a camera. They need to create a new camera that does 4K 60 without fisheye. They do that and possibly increase the range for people that are flying out over open ocean or whatever. Then they could have a serious competitor for DJI. But right now, the best attempt that I've seen so far for someone to compete with DJI, but it just didn't do it. Even without the recall, it just didn't do it. So, the Pro will be my primary editing computer. I make videos for real estate. Should I push my cash towards editing or better equipment? Number one, I would have a great camera out in the field, and then I would definitely use a Mac to edit. But my best advice is to just get the base level Mac config, spend your money on external storage to store all of your content. Wow, we've been going for an hour and 21 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. Mac is the best video editing and photo editing platform in my opinion. And I come from a world where the first computers I built were MS-DOS computers. I built Red Hat Linux boxes. I built SUSE Linux boxes. I built Debian Linux boxes. I've been around the block with Unix and MS-DOS. So I've been there and done that, but when it comes to video editing, I found the video editing and photo editing performance on a Mac to be best. Yes, Macs are overpriced, and you can't build them yourself legally. I know a lot of people build Hackintoshes. I'm not going to do that. But that's just my opinion. We all got our own opinions about video editing software and photo editing software, but I would never. So. No, Mac Pro's marketing hype, in my opinion. If I was going to go high end, I would go shoot me a message. We'll chat. I'll send you some ideas offline. Shoot me a message on my Facebook fan page, and I'll shoot you some links to what I would recommend. That's funny. Well, thanks everyone. Thanks for tuning in. It's been a fun show. Look forward to another live show, and again, per your feedback, I'm going to try to work to schedule some of these upcoming live events. I know a lot of these are spontaneous. It's just the way I like to do it, but I'll try to do some scheduled events so that we can all have a better opportunity to plan to attend in real time. But I appreciate your viewership. Be sure to subscribe, youtube.com/IrixGuy, and share this video and all my videos with others. Y'all have a good day.